Welcome to Ron and Chai's Travel Channel. We are headed to Norway in search of the Northern Lights. On December 20th, 2024, we departed San Francisco on an Air France flight direct to Paris, and then from Paris on to Bergen, Norway. Bergen is a picturesque city on the southwestern coast of Norway. It's renowned for its stunning natural beauty, rich cultural heritage. It's nestled between 7 mountains and the North Sea, and serves as a gateway to the famous fjords of Norway. Chai and I found a hotel right near a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a series of colorful wooden houses along the waterfront dating all the way back to the 14th century. Bergen is known for being one of the wettest cities in Europe, and it certainly lived up to its reputation while we were there. We were soaked for our first several days in Norway. Bergen gets about 231 days of rain a year, which measures up to 77 inches. One of the must-do attractions in Bergen is the funicular. It is known as the Kolbanen funicular, one of Norway's most famous and popular attractions. It took us from the heart of Bergen city center right up to the top of Mount Fløyen, about 320 meters above sea level. It took about 8 minutes to get up there, and we had a spectacular panoramic view of the city, the fjord, and the surrounding mountains. And what would travel be without sampling the local food? Chai and I found a wonderful local restaurant just a short walk from the hotel and sat down for a Christmas Eve dinner with a number of the local folks that were in the restaurant with us. We learned that Norwegian cuisine is very heavy on potatoes. They love their fish, of course, vegetables, and a fair sampling of pork belly on a lot of the menus. We had a delicious meal, as you can see. On Christmas Eve, we boarded the Havila Polaris, a brand new cruise ship that flies up and down the coast of Norway. It's more than a cruise ship, it's also a postal service boat, a ferry boat, and a cargo ship. And it makes 34 stops up and down the coast over a 12-day voyage, and we signed up for the entire 12 days. We're in search, of course, of the Northern Lights, and Havila has a guarantee that if you don't see the Northern Lights on the trip, you'll get a free trip to take next year. I'll tell you a little bit later about whether we saw the Northern Lights or not. One thing to point out about the Havila cruise line is their ships are eco-friendly. They're powered by liquid natural gas and battery packs, which allow them 4 hours of zero emission sailing. That's important to the Norwegian government that doesn't want more polluting boats into the pristine fjords. Well, most cabins on the Polaris are quite spacious with balconies or windows. We went cheap. We opted for an indoor cabin that had no window, no balcony, and very little room. But it worked out for us. Although we had to sleep on bunk beds, we just opened our door, turned around the corner, and sat in front of windows that went from knee to ceiling. So we had a spectacular view of the coast as we sailed by. The Polaris is a small cruise ship, 680 passengers, a crew of 76. Because it was smaller than other larger cruise ships we were familiar with, we had quite an adventure with the rocking and rolling which right up the sometimes rough North Atlantic Sea. In fact, the first night out, neighbor next door woke us up in the middle of the night, obviously distressed by seasickness, if you get the drift. We were lucky. We never suffered from seasickness. I wore the patches behind my ear, and I just prone against not getting seasick. As I mentioned, the Polaris made 34 stops going up and down the coast of Norway. That gave us plenty of opportunity to get off the ship and stretch our legs and look at the local villages and towns that we visited. We started stopping in the town of Allison, a lovely town, which would have been lovelier if we weren't walking in a pouring rain through the entire time we were there. We also visited towns a little bit further north where the rain had turned into snow, and had a lovely visit in Bodo, in Tromsø, where we took a cable car or tram through the city and up the side of a mountain. And overall, we had a wonderful visit in these little villages and towns up and down the coast of Norway. And just wanted to look at some of the photos that we took. Here we're passing under a bridge, and the bus above, our fellow passengers returning from an excursion, they got off the port below, took a snowmobile overnight, and are getting prepared to meet us at the next port of call, and we're welcoming them back from their excursion. We also did this every time we passed a sister ship that was plying in the opposite direction from ours. A highlight of the trip north was crossing the Arctic Circle. Virgins crossing for the first time were invited on deck to have ice water poured over them. Chai and I passed. Thank you. We sailed into 2025 by having dinner in the cruise ship restaurant, and then later on we were on deck to watch the fireworks ashore. We opted for the wine pairing. Little did we know that it would result in us drinking 10 glasses of wine and an after-dinner drink. At the very top of Norway, we visited the North Cape, situated at a latitude of 71 degrees, 10 minutes, 21 seconds north, making it one of the northernmost points in Europe that are accessible by vehicle. It's an area that is home to the indigenous Sami people who have a rich heritage and history in the region. They are reindeer herders, and if you went to school, you may remember them being called Laplanders. That is now a politically incorrect term. They prefer to be called the Sami people. On the North Cape, we were surprised to find a small Buddhist temple. The King of Thailand, Rama V, visited the North Cape in 1905. He was on a 28-day journey, and he documented his experiences to letters to his daughter, the princess. These letters were later published in a book called Far From Home, or Climb On. From the North Cape, we continued to sail to the town of Kirkenes. Kirkenes is a fascinating town located on the far northeastern part of Norway. It is just a few kilometers from the Norway-Russian border. In Kirkenes, we had the pleasure of seeing a dog sled operation. We petted reindeer, and we visited the Snow Hotel. Now, the Snow Hotel is a unique ice hotel that operates year-round. It offers a chance to experience staying in a room made entirely of ice. And you can do that for about $800 a night. China I passed.
Just feel they open everything. What I really like with them is normally after 8 weeks the moms and the pups get separated. Here we decided that the dog is giving us this time if they're tired of being together or not. So like I said, it's just happened that they got separated from each other. But they still stay together.
This is the Snow Hotel. It's the only hotel in the world completely made of snow and ice that's open year-round. It has 13 rooms, each uniquely carved by master ice sculptors from around the world. The rooms are kept at a constant temperature of around minus 4 degrees Celsius, so folks need a thermal sleeping bag if they stay overnight. Our cruise ended back in Bergen, and when we got off the ship, we were in for a big surprise. Bergen received about a foot of snow while we were away, and that is very unusual for Bergen. Since they rarely get snow, they just seem to get rain all the time. Before we left Bergen for the flight home, we took a fjord cruise. We got up early in the morning, took a bus out of very snowy Bergen. They took us to a Viking village that we visited. Then we took a cruise ship through the fjord, finally taking the historic Flam Railway up to the top of the mountains before we took a train back to Bergen.
You are safe here. Nobody will attack you. Only friendly Vikings. So if you want to trade, then I will show you around.
I don't know how safe it is. I know about growing.
Only yourself can.
The fjord cruise was wonderful. We got to see the countryside of Norway, beautiful snow-covered hills and mountains. We even had to break through a little bit of ice on the fjord. It was a wonderful trip, and Chai and I got to enjoy a reindeer hot dog as we cruised along. I imagine that the fjords are absolutely beautiful in the summertime. At the end of the fjord cruise, we boarded the Flam Railway. The Flam Railway is often described as one of the most beautiful train journeys in the world. It runs from Flam at the end of the Arlandsfjord and is situated about 867 feet above sea level when it starts. The journey took us through some of the most dramatic fjord and mountain scenery in Norway. It traveled through over 20 tunnels along the way and is said to be the steepest standard gauge rail line in the world.
So now is the cardio time in the train. You have to go from window to window just to make sure you don't miss anything. That's why I always stand. I get to see both sides. We will soon arrive to the old city centrum, and there you can see a church from 1667.
So every vacation must come to an end. We had a wonderful time in Norway. Oh, wait, I forgot. You asked, did we see the Northern Lights? Well, just look. So thanks for traveling with us to Norway. We hope you'll join us on our next big adventure. Bye for now.